Hey everybody, Rob Maurer here, and today we've got some interesting new comments from Larry Ellison of Oracle on FSD and on the Cybertruck. We'll take a look at that in a second. We also have updates on the FOMC meeting today, of course, and a few other items as well. All right, looking at the stock, Tesla today down 1.5%, kind of an interesting day with the FOMC meeting midday. The NASDAQ also down 1.5%. I pulled up the charts for both so you can kind of see the comparison that happened throughout the day. Midday, Tesla did spike before the FOMC meeting. I'm not really sure exactly what happened there. It did seem to be Tesla specific though, as we don't see a similar spike in the NASDAQ during that period of time. I did read some comments that maybe it was relating to a Morgan Stanley conference that was happening at that point. So I haven't found details on that yet. If you do have more details on that, pass it along. That could be what drove that spike earlier today, but we'll try to figure that out. But in the meantime, after that, Tesla did decline after the FOMC meeting and sort of during the press conference from Fed Chair Jerome Powell alongside the market, although with a bigger beta for Tesla, and ultimately ending in pretty much the exact same spot as the NASDAQ. So getting into the FOMC meeting, we'll go through this pretty quick. There wasn't a whole lot here, in my opinion. As the expectation indicated, rates were expected to be held. That was the case, and you can see from the difference checker here in the previous statement back in July, I believe, versus now the updated statement. Not many changes. You can see they changed the wording on economic activity, expanding at a solid pace versus moderate pace. Job gains have slowed in recent months but remain strong versus job gains have been robust in recent months, and then just maintaining rates down there. So not really anything too different in the statement, just a little bit there on jobs. And then if we get into, there's a statement there. Probably the bigger change is to the Summary of Economic Projections, or SEP. So here I've got the dot plot, as it's called. So this is each member of the FOMC, their expectation for where interest rates go over the next couple of years. So this is the one from July, or I think rather from June in this case. And this is the one from today, updated for the September meeting. You can see that they did add a year, so just when we flip back and forth between these, keep that in mind. But in general, interest rate expectations across the FOMC did increase. So if we look at 2025 previously, you could put the median here somewhere around 3.5%. Now the median rising up to about 4%, just roughly speaking. So basically seeing Fed participants seeing interest rates staying higher for longer. I think a lot of that due to stronger economic activity that we've been seeing. So they did increase their GDP expectations by a few basis points or a few tens of basis points for 2023 and 2024, held it for 2025. But I think that is part of what's driving the expectation now for higher interest rates for longer. So that's kind of what we've moved to. There is still the expectation for maybe one more increase later this year. So we'll see on that. If we look at the FOMC, the Fed tracker, or I can't remember what they call this, the Fed Watch tool from CME Group. It looks like interest rate expectations largely unchanged for the November meeting as compared to yesterday. Sometimes this tool is a little bit wonky. I'm just going to refresh this just to see if there's any changes. It's a little bit wonky the day of the update, but largely speaking, no major changes in expectations for November. If we flip to December, you can see also pretty similar to what we had seen before, maybe a little bit higher for 25 to 50 basis point increases across that period of time. Nevertheless, the market reacting negatively, at least during the FOMC conference. I did listen to that, but nothing too noteworthy there that I think we need to talk about. Obviously, Fed Chair Jerome Powell just continued to say that they'll see how things come in and adjust from there. I think that's largely the takeaway. All right, so getting into the Tesla news, again, we don't have a whole lot today, but we do have some interesting comments from Oracle's Larry Ellison. I'm just going to play this quick clip here, pretty short. Let me make sure that the audio is set up. But he did talk about Cybertruck and FSD. So I just want to play that 1 second here, and we'll get that rolling.
Our next generation police car is coming out very soon. It's my favorite police car. It's my favorite car, actually. It's Elon's favorite car. It's incredible. I know too much about it. Some of it's still to be disclosed. But among other things, it's very safe, very fast. It's got a stainless steel body, and we don't have to add a screen to it or we don't have to add cameras to it because we actually use their existing cameras and their existing screen to put our application up for people in the Tesla vehicles.
All right, so a couple of pretty interesting comments there. Obviously, just seeing the Cybertruck there is pretty exciting as well. But his comments about the vehicle being very fast, I think we all knew that that was going to be the case. Very safe, no surprise with Tesla vehicles, but that's kind of been a question, especially with this new sort of design, or significantly new design departure for a pickup truck. How that would come through in the safety tests. We saw Tesla tease that video, I think, back in April of the Cybertruck crash testing. Larry Ellison may have some insight on how that whole crash testing has gone, and hopefully his comment here might be a little bit more informed that this vehicle is going to ultimately be, very safe in terms of those performance results. So excited to hear that comment. And then also interesting to hear him talk about how they would be integrating their software for police vehicles with Tesla's camera feeds, with the screen in the Tesla vehicles, natively, versus having to, I think a lot of the police vehicles that we've seen that have incorporated Tesla so far, they've sort of still had to have a little laptop mounted there and things like that, and maybe they still would in this case too, but the more that can be integrated, the better experience that is going to be for police, and the more likely they are to then adopt this vehicle for their fleet. So I think that's exciting that Oracle is working on this. Obviously, Elon and Larry Ellison are quite close, so not very surprising, I wouldn't say. But if that can be something that helps drive fleet sales to police, obviously that's going to be a win for the Cybertruck. Plus, I think most police would probably really like to be in a vehicle like this that as Tesla demonstrated, should have bulletproof panels, should have the armored glass, even with the snafu of the release of the introduction of the prototype back in 2019 with the windows breaking or cracking. But this should be, maybe that's what Larry Ellison's very safe comments are referring to, but this should be, a vehicle that should already have high adoption amongst police. So if there's even smoother, seamless integration of Tesla's camera feeds and software like this, I think that is very exciting. Now, the other comment that Larry Ellison had on FSD, this was a little bit earlier in his presentation today. He was talking about just general artificial intelligence, generative AI right now, and how that is, probably going to be one of the biggest changes in technology ever, and could be the single biggest change in technology ever. And as a part of that, he brought up Tesla and self-driving cars, saying that, among the changes that we are going to see, saying, quote, coming soon, very soon, in the next 12 months, complete self-driving cars from Tesla, end quote. So again, Larry's, he's going to be updated on Elon's thinking on this. And obviously we know Elon's thoughts that is going to be the case. And Larry Ellison could just be parroting that. But, he's going to be pretty well informed about Tesla's strategy with FSD 12. And obviously seems to be a believer in that from this comment. It wasn't necessarily the focal point of the presentation, just adding to his points about how disruptive generative AI and AI in general are going to be, how much investment is going after it, billions and billions of dollars pouring into AI right now. But nice to have a little bit of a mention there from Larry on that. And again, hopefully bodes well for, his expectation or interpretation of how Tesla will progress from here. So fun to see those couple of comments. We did have a couple of updates to the referral program today from Tesla. They've added a new referral prize, and this is a Model 3 Performance. So you can now enter to win this, or you will be automatically entered to win this if you refer someone between yesterday and the end of the quarter. They have to take delivery of the vehicle by the end of the quarter. If they do that, you're automatically entered for a chance to win a Model 3 Performance. This has also been added to the referral program in the app. For 1,000 credits, you can enter into a raffle for this, which apparently will be selected on October 6th. So pretty quick turnaround from the beginning of the raffle here to when this prize will be awarded, just kind of in the first week of Q4. I would imagine that we'll continue to see stuff like this. We've actually seen Tesla run programs like this a few years ago, where they had, I think each quarter they were kind of giving away a Model Y or something of that nature. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we see more of these types of promotions as we head into Q4. We've obviously seen Tesla implement some pretty interesting and unique prizes like the factory tour. Another one is the Cybertruck sweepstakes. So this is allowing people to enter, again, a similar raffle for the Cybertruck, one of the first ones off the line. This used to be 500 credits. So with the change here for the Performance Model 3 sweepstakes, Tesla's actually also updated the Cybertruck sweepstakes to 1,000 credits from 500 before. But still interesting to see that, and hopefully, maybe we'll have an audience member win that, and we'll look forward to hearing the results of it. All right, quick update also on the Cybertruck. Tesla owners East Bay in Fremont has noted that the sort of check-in sheet, I believe this is for Tesla service, is now indicating, or is now including a spot for the Cybertruck to be indicated for service. So just a little administrative thing, but nice to see some of the groundwork being laid for the eventual delivery and inevitable service that Cybertruck will need. Exciting to see some of those steps being taken, as hopefully we are now, I don't want to say we're like a month away, but it could be even within the next month that we start seeing those Cybertrucks being delivered. All right, last couple of items here. So quick update on a story that we had previously covered a couple of times, which is the lawsuit that had ended with a settlement that resulted in the board agreeing to return about $700 million worth of compensation to Tesla for overcompensation claims from 2017 to 2020. So the lawyers that worked on this case, they are now asking as a part of the settlement to be paid $229 million in fees. I would assume that would come out of the portion that would be returned from the compensation. I'm not 100% sure on that. Maybe it would come on top, but presumably would come from that, which would be a pretty significant chunk of that compensation. Reuters did the math here. That nets out to almost $11,000 per hour. Apparently, usually these cases are closer to $2,000 per hour. This wouldn't be the largest per hour fee ever settled. There is some precedent for higher, but obviously this is a pretty significant chunk of the total compensation. And now I'm actually seeing here the total settlement was valued at $919 million, so 25% of that would be the fee that they're seeking here. So as we had previously mentioned, this is going to the settlement agreement, and this compensation would be put in front of the judge in October. So we'll see what the outcome of that is. I think there's opportunity for arguments to be made, still from the public or from shareholders up until that point when this is heard by the judge. So we'll keep an eye on that and should know more on that, the results of that pretty soon. And then also from Reuters, they've got a report that Tesla has partnered with the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, I believe this is the largest bank in Australia, to offer loans for vehicles at a rate of 5.49%. I don't know exactly what interest rates are in Australia right now, but I know in the US that interest rates are, or at least auto loan interest rates from Tesla are a little bit higher than this. So obviously still a decently high rate, but more affordable than likely alternatives would be, which is nice to see and should help keep obviously payments lower for customers in Australia. Maybe not the biggest bank, but they say biggest lender here. So nice to see that partnership, and hopefully that'll again help keep payments a little bit lower for Tesla in Australia. And then lastly here, just a quick update on Starlink and SpaceX. The FCC has approved 2 new Starlink dishes for SpaceX. SpaceX can now begin offering these. We haven't seen, to my knowledge, photos of these, but there are 2 devices here. One is about half the surface area, a little bit less than half of the surface area actually, of the current Starlink dish, so a very significant reduction in size for this version. And then there is a second larger version that is pretty close to the same size as the current dish, but apparently has higher performance. So usually when these approvals happen, we do see the product released from SpaceX pretty shortly thereafter. We'll keep an eye out on this for the next couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll see it in that window. But nice to see that approval from the FCC. It does also sound like SpaceX had later added on to this request the permission from the FCC to make this something that is offered for mobile. So maybe I think you could probably already do this, but with approval, be able to add this to a vehicle or something like that. And they're still waiting for the FCC to rule specifically on that. So we'll see on that one. But that'll wrap it up for today. So as always, thank you for listening. Make sure you're subscribed and signed up for notifications. You can also find me on X at Tesla Podcast. And we'll see you tomorrow for the Thursday, September 21st episode of Tesla Daily. Thank you.